Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third party review. Now, I have heard nothing but good things about the store Oh My Primus, so I thought I'd give them a go, and I got a few items come through from them recently, and Coolsville from Toyworld was one of them. Very fast shipping, very well packed, and an all-round outstanding job. Highly recommend them. If you'd like to check them out, I've included a link below. Now, this is Toyworld's M05. It's their take on a masterpiece style jazz, and we have literally heard nothing from them. They've come in under the radar. They've released about 5 figures all at once, and nobody's talking about them. Have they lost their appeal? Maybe. I really disliked their Springer, but I wanted to give their jazz a go because I liked how it looked. It comes in this nice standard box, pretty much what we've come to expect from the latest Toyworld. It did come with a base piece as well. I'm slowly building up a huge empire, and on the back there we've just got some information about when your toy breaks to contact Toyworld. Without further ado, let's crack him open. And here he is out of the package. He comes with a nice big hefty instruction manual, and here's the stat card. There we go, stats the way I like it. I don't like how they do that. I'd like it just in lines. That would do me a treat. So I'm sure somebody collects those. And you have to do a little bit of tweaking straight out of the box. Out of the package he comes with this chest section down like so. We just need to pull this piece here, and that'll bring this all the way down, and then we can just line that up. You can push and secure that firmly into the waist. And that's his abs done. And it comes with his backpack kind of like this. I personally don't mind it as much as I thought, but as a preference I like to bring these small arm sections out and just tuck those in. Do the same with this side, just bring that out and tuck that in, and then this roof canopy section can just slide in behind there, and we can bring those back down. Still keeps it nice and sleek and just really tucks that in, and then we can move this neck panel right the way back, and we've got a much more G1 animation style look. Now, before we take a look at Jazz himself, let's take a look at his accessories. He comes with a white static launcher, which you can just peg in. Pretty much what we've come to expect. It's very standard masterpiece style. We get 2 of these large speaker cones, 1 black launcher, which is spring loaded, and this really does there's some real power there. The winch and kind of like the grappling hook, although there is no string included. I don't know if I was meant to have string included or some cotton or something, but there was nothing in the pack whatsoever, so I'm assuming that it's supply your own. I don't know. And finally we get the alternative head, which I actually really like. I prefer this head. It's very G1 animation inspired. Now let's take a look at Jazzmaster himself. He didn't get any love. Everybody had kind of already gone out and got themselves the Make Toys version. Maybe these were a little bit late to the party, but I actually truly like the aesthetic a little bit more on this guy than I did the Make Toys one. Don't get me wrong, Make Toys have done an amazing job, and it does look very screen accurate. You've even got the markings, I think it's the light blue, isn't it, on the crotch section there. I wasn't deliberately stroking Jazz's crotch there, and it is very close indeed, but I really like how this feels. I was surprised at how solid it feels and how much I like it, because I hated Springer. He felt half-assed and like they'd kind of given up and already swapped designers midway through. I'm sure they hadn't, but that's how it felt. And Jazz, he's nice. He's got that kind of a cross between a masterpiece and the Binaltech alternators line. That sort of look and feel to him. The head sculpt, which comes as standard, really reminds me of the Transformers animated kind of version of Jazz. Something slightly off. I know they normally take their designs from the Studio Ox inspiration, so you can see kind of where they're going with that. But with a character like this, and you've got the body and the shape, everything so close to the G1 likeness, I don't know why you'd offer up a head like this. It just doesn't quite look right, does it? Just as a friendly notice, getting these heads off is a complete nightmare. I basically stripped the screw. It just kept spinning. So it is just a ball joint mount, but I think the ball is actually too big just to slide straight out. So you will have to, unfortunately, take that screw off. But let's just slide that back in over the ball, and then tilt that back, and I'm just going to do that screw back up, and there we have my more favourable head sculpt. That's definitely more the Jazz I knew and loved as a kid. Now let's take a look at just how nice this body is. Now the paint applications are actually incredibly bold on Jazz, very, very vibrant, some of the best I've actually had from Toyworld. Coming around to the bonnet, you've actually got a white paint scheme but with like a pearlescent undercoat there. We've got Bosch and Shell, we've got Mortini Racing. Okay, it's pretty close, isn't it? Got those nice little accents there on the abdomen, and again just coming up to the top there. They've actually done a really nice job when it comes to the paint scheme. I mean, look at just how vibrant he is. Let's check out the articulation. The head can look left and right. It is ball mounted, so we can get some quizzical posing there. We can look down and up, and of course it is on this neck tilt hinge as well, so you can kind of position it as you see fit. But personally, I think it's probably a little bit too loose on that joint. Coming down to the shoulders, they go up and down on a friction joint. We've actually got this additional shoulder joint section here as well, which allows us to raise and lower the shoulders. We can go around on that same joint. Again, that's another friction joint as well. I would have liked some ratchets in amongst all of this. Very tight friction joint on the upper bicep. Got a nice double jointed elbow there, and not an unattractive elbow either. Nothing really untoward going on there, just a nice clean joint. The hands can rotate, and the fingers are all pinned, and the thumb is ball mounted. The waist can rotate quite freely there, no real obstructions. We don't have any abdominal crunch, unfortunately. The hip skirts can move forward. They are on this one pin section, so they both come forward at the same time. I don't want to force that because I fear it may be like the Make Toys ones, which unfortunately you move one and not the other and they snap. That's a real downer for me. Again, friction joint going forwards, friction joint going backwards. We've got these side hip skirts. They have a ball mount at the back section here, and they tab in for aesthetic purposes to get it square up. But you can actually untab them, and it allows us to get that leg all the way up, get a better range on there, and that joint is awful. What horrible, horrible sound. Let's just tab that back in. We do have an upper thigh rotation. Again, a really nasty sound there. And we do get a double joint on the knee. Again, quite a nice tidy knee. Now there is some hindrance from this back kibble section here. This is all die cast as well. It's really nice to see some nice die cast pieces on the Toyworld figures. That's just a shame we can't really make full use of that nice double jointed hinge. There is an ankle pivot, which is nice, not really that obtrusive, fairly acceptable range on there. We can move it forwards and backwards as well. There's quite a nice bit of motion both inwards and outwards. The The shin guard itself can move independently forwards and backwards there, and the toe can also move up and down independently. So there's a lot of motion, there's a lot of range involved there, and you can kind of tidy it up and get some pretty nice stances. The heel spurs, you can kind of raise them up if you want them in some running poses. It does come in exceptionally handy because he is a very lean bot. He's a sort of figure that screams dynamic. So we can get him in a nice high kick pose, but there is a large but here. He's got that kind of early masterpiece feel to him, like we got with the Nissans, the likes of Prowl, etc., where you've got these hinged knees, and they do tend to have a mind of their own when you're posing them. You can balance him and you can work the joints against each other, so you get that twist in the knee and you can kind of bend it backwards and you get a nice kind of lock on it. But as you start to just try and get a running pose, the knee just kind of collapses in on itself, and I don't like that. I like to have my figures posed dynamically, and I don't want to have to keep going into my display cabinets and tweaking him and altering him because his knees have started to give way. Now, one thing I'm not entirely sure of, they've made all of this effort to make sure all of the inner workings of the elbows and the armpit joint and everything, they're all hidden when he does his posing, but they've left a gaping great big hole in the wrists. Was there no way they could just have a flap there? I don't know. It's just, it looks ugly, doesn't it? As you can see, I've got his grappling hook engaged at the moment. You can just flip the hand around into that large crevice, and there's 2 puncture holes on the other side, and that's how you attach this rolling section. And I've just got Hound here with it grabbed onto the back. Like I said, no string given, so unfortunately I can't actually attach it, so we will be having to use our imagination and imagine that he's holding on to the back of his fellow Autobots. One thing I do especially like about their Jazz is the fact that you can have the wings out if needed and still keep a fairly slim looking rear to the vehicle. Now, it took me absolutely ages to figure out how to put his missile launcher onto the back. I kept looking for tabs for this to tab into, and I could find nothing. And then I found these little hooks here, and I was like, Ben, you are an idiot. You cannot see the trees through the forest. You push it on like so, and as if by magic, voila, he now has a rocket launcher on his shoulder like so. He does hold this gun. Is it a gun or is it another rocket launcher? Either way, he holds it really nicely, and it does look exceptionally good on him. And you know what? Having the wings up like that, it's actually starting to grow on me quite a bit. But the more and more I play with this guy, the more and more I see the similarities between him and the Nissan Datsun cars. I've come to think that maybe it's a very clever kind of reshell of it. I mean, if we just bring in Prowl, for example, we've got the fold-down stomach. Okay, yeah, these sections the skirts don't go upwards, but you've got the same sort of double-jointed hinge on there. You've got the fold-away car section on the back, fold-away car section on the front here. Okay, so it might not work exactly, but it's not far off. Maybe I'm just reading into it too much. Maybe there's only so much you can do with the car former, but it does seem to share an awful lot of those similarities. For a quick scale comparison, here he is alongside some of his Autobot brethren. I think because he shares so much of those transformation steps and the engineering is very similar, he definitely doesn't look out of place. He's a very good scale, and he's definitely an acceptable Jazz. And with Toyworld, their prices are kind of at an all-time low, so you're getting a lot of plastic for your buck. Now let's get Coolsville transformed up into his car mode. Coolsville just sounds like something from the 80s. And Wow. You need to fold these heel spur sections inwards 90 degrees, come around to the toes, and again bring those down so they're at an angle and they're going to fold inside. And then we can bring this outer section down, flip this up 180 degrees, and then bring this whole leg section up. Come to the torso section, you want to apply pressure just on the back so it pops off this waist hinge. Detach from these tab sections at the back here, they're going to fold upwards. These are going to fold inwards at the same time and lock into place. Fold this up 90 degrees and then fold this under, which closes off the front of the car, and again there's more die cast. And with all that underside section compressed, the head can now just push and slide down into the torso, and we can just close the bonnet section off. More die cast. Fold the thumbs down, fold the fists in, untab these grey sections from the inside, just give them a push. But now let's this entire piece here drop down. Come to the head and make sure it is bent down on the neck joint, and then thread that through underneath. Bring the arms up to that hinge section, collapse that piece down, collapse this hinge, and as you do so, roll that inwards, and the tyre section will just spin to the outside of the vehicle. And I just knocked me wing mirror off. They are really rubbish. I mean, really rubbish. It's the third time I knocked it off. It's on the floor, but I can't bend down for obvious reasons. I can't bend down anymore. That's all part and parcel of having the discs removed. But my son's not here at the moment, so he can't come out and help. But anyway, we bend this section up. Let's just persevere. Bend this panel upwards. Bring this panel here up 90 degrees. Open up. Oh, I heard that sound. The leg. And then bring it over. Flip these panels up to this position, and then slide those down on a sliding hinge so that they're level. Then rotate the legs again at the thighs and bring this piece backwards. Bring these up. It's all very, very kind of jigsaw-y, isn't it? Just so we can work these pieces here around. Get those over to this position at the back, and untab those from this point here, and then rocking them on that ball joint, rotate them so they're facing downwards. I warn you now, they do have a tendency to fall off. They keep popping off there. They don't like me whatsoever. Bring this tab up to here. With them in this position, we can now slide these under, and they're just going to slide under the hood like that, and this tucks all of this in quite nicely. Bring these panels back over, bend these up at 90 degrees on this hinge. Come to the inside of the knee. You want to just push and tab this joint outwards, and it actually allows us to collapse the length of the leg. Now you can also do this in robot mode if you want to make him shorter, if you think that he is too tall. I mean, if you imagine these are the legs, that's quite a bit of difference, and that'd bring him up pretty much exactly the same height as Prowl. So let's just bring this back down again, and it collapses extremely smoothly into that joint. It really does. And then these are just going to come in, and that's just going to tab in together. Close off the rear portion of the car and just push that into place. Tab the spoiler together and bring that up and over. Fold out the windows on the doors, and the doors are actually on sliding hinges, so we can bring the doors down, slide and compress that into its correct position, and there's a tab just on this rear wing which should hold it securely into place. And when all of those are tabbed in firmly, we can just bring the roof panel section in. That's going to tab in on the top there, and then we can just bring it down on this sliding hinge, compressing it firmly in to place. And with everything all tabbed in together, he looks incredible. This is why I wanted him. Yeah, I know the slogans aren't exactly spot on, and we've got like Dunloop and stuff like that, but that's what toy hacks are there for, to fix these little things that keep these companies from being sued. I believe this is the Porsche 935. You can really see that kind of pearlescent coat under the white paint there. There is the wing mirror that caused me issues. It is now glued in, it's not going anywhere. I've made sure of it. We've got some really nice rims on here as well. It's a rubbery tyre there, and really nice rolling ability. I mean, to look at, you wouldn't be able to tell it's a Transformer. It feels very much like your Corgi or Matchbox vehicles. I love how low that looks to the ground. If we bring in Sideswipe, for example, Toyworld have nailed it. That is actually my favourite Autobot alt mode that I own. It's not perfect. I can't quite push this here down. May have been me mistransforming it somewhere along the lines, but I mean, it's very minute. But oh, I love it. Absolutely love how they've done that. It was a lot of fiddling around to get everything to line up. I didn't really like how they did the crotch section, but I'm glad they did, because that's pretty much perfect. I love those massively ballooned out wide wheel arches with the vents going through. Very similar to what we've recently had over the last few years, like the Renault Clio R32 and things like that, and the Carrera as well. That had quite flared out wheel arches, but what a gorgeous piece. Really nice scaling with the humanoid characters as well. Chip has just won himself a nice little track day experience. Weight wise, he's coming in at a very impressive 251 grams. That's around 8 ounces. Bearing in mind that Sideswipe is 128 grams, that's only 4 ounces. The speaker cone sections can just slide in underneath the back of the rear spoiler, and they just sit nice and comfortably on the back there, and we can obviously tilt this backwards. We can aim them individually, or you can tilt them together and have them facing upwards, and you can mouth some funky beats. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I am genuinely very impressed by how cool Coolsville looks in his alt mode. The bot mode is nice, it's very acceptable, it's very in keeping with the current Masterpiece aesthetic. Size and transformation is, again, very in keeping, but it's this alt mode. This alt mode is incredible. Make Toy has done a good job until you saw this part of it. Yes, mine's not quite nipping in there as nicely as I would like, but that's probably because I haven't tabbed something in there. But I mean, that's a really nice tidy rear end. You've got these lights here, got the vents. They've gone to town with the detailing. It's a really nice shell. It's almost like they've got one of those build your own car sets. They've taken the shell off it and thought, how can we make Jazz work with this? Because it's pretty much spot on. And for those of you who would like to see him against Decepticon, I don't have many of my Decepticons in their vehicle modes, so here he is alongside Astro Train. You know, it's definitely a very workable scale. So final thoughts, Toyworld have done a remarkable job with this guy. He was very impressive straight out of the box. Great use of both die cast and plastic. Gorgeous paint scheme, one of the best I've seen on a Toyworld figure. He could in fact be one of the best Toyworld figures I own, second only to Constructor, because I mean, that's a huge devastator. I mean, what more could I possibly want? I love the fact that they're still giving us these bases with these figures as well. It's going to be awesome, and I'm hoping they're going to sell those individually too soon as well, because I will be buying a shed load. Quite literally, considering I work out of a shed. This just makes me want to buy more of those kind of KO Autobots, just to have them in their vehicle modes, because this is a gorgeous vehicle mode. Really am over the moon with this purchase. Thanks again to the guys at Oh My Primus. They offer a fantastic service. I cannot fault them, and I'm so happy that I ordered this guy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you already had the Make Toys version, can I persuade you to get this? Probably not. You're probably more than happy with your downbeat figure. But if you don't have a Jazz, don't write this guy off. Watch the video and let me know your thoughts. Honestly, I have no regrets purchasing this at all. Yes, this head had issues. I could not get it off the life of me. That screw was a problem, and I didn't get any string, but faults aside, this is my masterpiece Jazz. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, from myself and Coolsville. Goodbye.